Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Dave Albert. In this show, I talk about technology, building a company as a CTO and co-founder, and have guests to discuss their roles in technology and entrepreneurship. Today, we're joined by Felipe, our UI UX designer and user advocate. Thanks for joining us, Felipe.
Thanks for having me.
And I didn't want to butcher your surname, so if you would give us your full name.
My full name is Felipe Coelho Kussik.
I knew I would not be able to say that, which is why I did not even attempt it.
It's fine. Felipe is fine. I like the way you said it. Usually people will say either Felipe, like with the accent, the last A, or Felipe, or just Philip. Philip's funny. Our neighbor calls me Philip, so he'll usually go Philip, good man. It's very funny the way he says, with the very thick Irish accent.
Nice.
I like it.
I get called Albert.
Albert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I sent an email. Said, thanks so much for your help on this, Dave. And then they come back. No problem, Albert. I don't mind.
Because I have two full names.
Yeah. Well,
Same.
3 if you count my middle, but.
Oh, do you have a middle name? What is it?
William.
William. Oh.
So here in Ireland, Dahi Liam.
Wow. Dahi.
But it's David. William.
Yeah.
Well, but my mother, sister, and
Which one do you
wife.
prefer?
Just Dave.
Dave.
Just Dave.
Yeah. So it's David, William, Albert.
Yep.
And you go by Dave.
Yep.
Okay.
Just Dave.
Just Dave.
Just Dave. I'm in legal proceedings against the television station. No. Yeah. So, biggest thing is I just wanted to kind of get, so this podcast is about startups and tech and, you're such a good user advocate and UI, UX, just kind of a bit of your background, how you got into it, what you take inspiration from, stuff like that. So maybe just start with, how you got into the design world in general.
I started, I have a degree in graphic design. So that was that's where it all started. And this was 2007 is when I graduated. But I always worked with, web design. And I ended up, doing because I was working, I started working, my first real job was in a web agency. And I was doing mostly design, wireframes and some planning but I ended up doing more, coding, some, mostly front end, HTML, CSS, and some basic JavaScript. And because this place we worked with WordPress, I ended up getting, on that. So, WordPress is PHP.
Yeah.
I know very basic PHP, mostly because of WordPress. So I end up doing, kind of going not away from design, but I never really worked just with design, working close with a developer and I'll do the screens and they code. I always ended up doing both, design and then, I'll get most of my clients when I was working by myself and then with, a partner, they'll be people or companies who need a website and we will get the website done, all of it. And this now, on Medit is my first full-time proper design job as a designer, as in I have to use and be proficient and try to master proper design tools and learn them and also process and all that stuff. So like I have like basic knowledge, not basic knowledge, but I have like good knowledge of a lot of stuff. I'm trying to get like to one and be really good at that, but keep all the other stuff. I don't know if that
makes sense
your
to me.
question.
Trying to be an expert in one thing while still being a journeyman in the rest of them.
Yeah, like it's weird because I always thought that was like the way to do it, and like I was always trying to do everything. So like, because I was working as a self-employed, like freelance, but I had like proper clients and then as a small company, I always thought that I could do everything, and I was like doing like business side of stuff, like handling clients and managing expectations and contracts and all that stuff. And I was doing like planning and like architecture and wireframes, and then design, and then getting the coding done. And I was always like happy in that place, doing kind of bit of everything. But now that I'm doing design, and I still get that feeling sometimes. It's getting easier now, but I'm always like, why did I waste so much time doing that stuff when I could be like really focusing on and a lot of times now I feel like this is what I should be doing for a long time. So, but in a way I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I was getting my LinkedIn profile, and I had to like, how many years experience you have? I don't know if I should say that I have like 2 years, or 1 year, which is when I started here, or should I go with like 15 years, which is all my experience? So I was like, what's the, I don't know. It's just, but I'm enjoying a lot.
Well, it doesn't matter because you're never allowed to leave us. So, so there are no other jobs for you, just this one, which is the perfect one.
Hope that's not a threat.
No, not at all. No, we're just so happy that, you're a part of the team. And, Felipe came on as a freelance front-end web developer, but then over time he started to take more and more different little design tasks. And then we realized, hey, why don't we just let you take this whole thing and make it better? And the product has gotten so much better since when we were trying to use different vendors and freelancers to help us drive the product. Once someone was actually in the team driving the user experience and advocating for the user, everything about the product has just gotten better and better. So anybody out there who is considering trying to do it without someone focused on that, you're going to have a much better time if you just try to make it happen. It's how everything goes. If somebody is solely focused on an aspect of something, it improves.
Yeah.
If nobody's focused on it, it won't improve.
Yeah, definitely. I think we talked this in our team meeting, like having a full-time designer in this like initial phase of a project or a product, like the importance of like, and we're seeing like that now. Now it's getting better, but like a lot of my initial tasks were basically like not fixing stuff, but like kind of rethinking things that weren't working. And this is nothing like with it's more about, it's like you said, it's like someone focusing just on that. And because like we now have more information than we had in the beginning, like when the app was designed. So now and that's, it only works if you have a dedicated team or person.
Exactly. I mean, you take all designs start from the perfect state. Then when you get real life content, that perfect state goes right out the window.
Yeah.
So our initial designs done by an external agency were very heavily focused on imagery that was high quality, content that was marketing based. So good keywords, nice short titles that were impactful. And then when you bring in medical content not made by marketers, a large portion of it is text heavy, very few images. If there are images, they may be lower quality than what you can use as the hero of a piece of content. So, so once you actually throw the real world content at it, you have to make adjustments. And if you don't have someone there to constantly see these changes and that are needed, then, you're just trying to fit what you have into the design because that was the design, not because it's the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I think that, though, designing for like all those states, like ideal state, empty state, error state, or like when something doesn't load or what, I think that's like all designers are aware of that stuff, but day to day, it's hard to get that because sometimes you're like, there's pressure, you have to get this done, and then you end up forgetting all that stuff. And also, like when you're working with an external company, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine there's like that kind of, it's not pressure, but the situation kind of changes because there's the presentation aspect of it. So like they have to get the designs done, or they have to get the designs ready to present to you guys, because you're the ones paying them, as in like their relation is with you, and where now kind of the relationship changes a bit, where we're designing not for 115, we're designing for people using the app.
Yes. So
it kind of changes a little bit, and I think it's only natural, like when you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both the company that's contracting someone and the company that's doing that contracting have somewhat different agendas.
Yeah.
So the one paying is trying to get the best value for the least amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way the world works.
Exactly.
And the one trying to make the money is trying to deliver the most value as quickly as possible to remain profitable.
Yeah.
And so there is no way to do all the things at a price that someone trying to get something as reasonably priced as possible.
Yeah.
That's just, it's not possible.
It's very hard. Like, and even because a lot of, say, like with the user experience aspect of it, and like you always say that I'm like a user advocate, as like I'm speaking for the user. I find that very funny, but like a lot of it is related most of the times to stuff that we are not directly discussing at that moment. So like when we are discussing like a new feature or something that's broken or something that's not getting the expected results, or like we saw in like analytics that we're not getting like a conversion rates or whatever it is that we are discussing at that specific moment, there's always a lot of implication. So like if we're talking about a screen that doesn't look nice or that we forgot to do something, there's usually a lot of like fallout. Yeah. Like when you do something in one place, it ends up having unexpected effects on other places.
Yeah. I would say cascading effects. Cascading. But that's just the way I talk. So
yeah. So like a lot of times when we're talking something, I'm thinking in like that holistic view. Like it's like there's more to that than just that thing that we're discussing at that moment. And when you're dealing with a company, or in that sense, it's hard to get that, because it's all about let's close this, let's sign this off, and let's move on. So there's that aspect to it. And I don't know if it's impossible, because that is it is a business that exists. So I don't know, impossible, but it's just really, really hard.
Well, no, absolutely. So that's why I say you're the user advocate, because you really are. You're the one looking at the overall perspective from the user's point of view, because the rest of us can't necessarily do that, because we've got to look at it at the overall aspect of the development team or whatever because it's every one of those. Oh, but what about this and this and this and this?
Yeah.
There's that for the user experience. There's also that for the development. Okay. Well, if we make that change, they've got to make this change in the API. And that means that the database has to change this way and that the data analytics have to change this way. So if one person were to try to think through all those different things effectively at one time, either their head would explode or they'd be a heck of a lot smarter than I am.
Oh yeah. It's because like there's the downside of that as well, where like we can just be talking, like otherwise we won't get anything done. So sometimes all we need is like quick fixes or quick wins, or like, and they're not bad. They're not, it's just what we need sometimes. Otherwise we just keep like talking and just talking and hypotheticals, and it doesn't really work. I don't see it working like that, but
that's why I'm always telling you to keep pulling for perfection. And sometimes we're going to have to pull back really hard towards the middle of good enough for now. But if you keep pulling towards perfection, and we keep, otherwise, if nobody was pulling towards perfection and we were continually pulling for good enough for now, the bar would just keep getting lower. So you keep the bar high.
but they, like, both bars keep changing. Like, if we like the good enough, like, and we talk about this, like how our good enough kind of gets lower and lower, like the more pressure there is, like we have to like meet a deadline or something, like the good enough, it basically becomes like, whatever. But on the other hand, it also keeps changing, because like the more time I spend, or anyone really spends, like trying to get perfect, it keeps getting higher and higher. And so I think the secret is in the, like everything else, is like balance. We just have to balance. Yeah. But I'm enjoying doing that stuff. So.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, the product keeps getting better. So if you're building a product and you don't have someone focused on user experience, and that's more than just, does it look pretty?
Yeah.
It's a whole lot more than that. It helps that it looks pretty, but it's so much more about the psychology of usage.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's hard, like even like with the look pretty and like make it perfect and like, to me, it's not about that. Like it is, because it's what we're seeing most of the time. And it's like it's kind of like the first layer of the thing, but how you interact with and how it feels and how easy it is to do something, to perform an action in the app or anything really. It's more about that, and it's hard to balance those, even how nice it looks or how well it performs. So yeah,
how you keep adding features but also keep it intuitive.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all seen user interfaces, like in especially in older Windows applications, where there were a million checkboxes and drop downs. And I mean, just look at Microsoft Word back, 5-10 years ago. It could do everything, and they were all right there in front of you.
Yeah.
So, that's not intuitive, but
that's why they needed the little paperclip guy to help you.
Well, that's all we need in Medit. We'll just put we'll just put Clippy in.
Yeah.
That's it. Maybe a thermometer.
Yeah, something medical. Something. Yeah.
Stethoscope. Stethoscope. Looks like you're trying to find some
very Irish.
Content.
That's very Irish. Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
You have a special experience with WordPress.
I do. Yeah, I have a lot of experience with WordPress.
What was that?
It all started. Well, I started using in like WordPress version like 1 point. It was like when they added themes. That was like version 1.5, I think, or something like that. And I saw it because I was doing designing websites, but I always needed someone to make them work, right? Like make them work. I mean, easy for client to like enter new products or post like a blog or something. And when I discovered WordPress, it kind of opened a lot of possibilities. Like I could do like I could build working websites that had like search, that had pages that you could like update in a very easy interface. So I started using that, and then I became involved with the Brazilian community that was doing the translations, because we needed to be in Portuguese because it's easier for everyone there. So
I wouldn't be able to program very well in Portuguese since I don't know it at all.
Program is probably fine because it's all like tags and
well, I have seen some bad variable names in the past, so I don't know if they were in Portuguese. If it would be
like
worse. Comments,
all like broken characters. So like I had a my English was basic, intermediate maybe, but I had some experience with translating stuff, all very informal, but it is something that I always enjoy doing. As a fun fact for your listeners, I translated the subtitles for The Office, the British Office.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because like this was a while ago, and like subtitles are big in Brazil. Like in that sense, like you download like a TV show informally, and you need subtitles, and I translated some, I did all of The Office. It was only like 12 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And I also did, translation for, a documentary about Wilco. It's called I Am Trying to Break Your Heart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did that because they're my favorite band. So I did that. But we shouldn't be talking because this is probably illegal doing that. But I did, yeah. And they're not online anymore, but you can get them, or maybe you can. I don't know.
Well, you didn't do anything except the translation.
Yeah, so. I did. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So that's when I got involved in the WordPress, the Brazilian community, and it was like they were starting like to become official because WordPress has like this. Each country has like their official community that like, so we started doing that, and then I was involved in organizing the WordCamps. I helped organizing the first 2 or 3 WordCamps. I think definitely the first 2. I can remember. And I also, spoke at those WordCamps. I had, first one was, my first talk was called WordPress for Designers, which, and I was talking like specifically about, how it was a tool. It could be like a useful tool for designers who didn't know how to code, that they could kind of like get by and like making like portfolio website or like helping their clients. And then the second one was called Total WordPress. It was like, that was a bit more, about how you could use all parts of WordPress, like plugins, and it was more general stuff. But yeah, and then I use WordPress as like my main, tool for clients for most of the time. I don't use that a lot anymore. Because now I'm a designer.
That's right.
I don't have to. No, but I still think it's a very powerful tool, and I have my partner, my business partner. He works for Automatic now, the company behind WordPress.com. He works there.
Nice.
Yeah, I like WordPress.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I worry about all the updates that need to be maintained and plugins that need to be updated consistently because it's such a threat factor for malfeasance. That's not the right word.
Like,
but you know what I mean.
Usually, my experience is, usually it goes well if you are, if you're kind of doing it regularly. And now it's easier to do that because like now they have like for minor versions, they're done automatically if you want. But even the major versions, it usually goes well.
Yeah.
What can go wrong is usually like more to like bad plugins or a bad theme that they're not keeping up to date. So, but then the issue is like you should probably get a better plugin or a better theme. And like now the big one, the version 5, where they introduced Gutenberg, the new editor. I don't know if you know.
I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a more robust and flexible editor, like content editor. So it's similar to Squarespace Builder. It's similar to like a few other page builders that were on WordPress. But my experience is that it's better than the other ones I saw, and it's also more flexible and has more possibilities to improvement and all that. So that was a big update, but I think for the sites I see, because they've been doing this for a while, like it's been like beta phase for a while. Most themes and plugins, the most popular ones are compatible, so it should be fine to update. As far as I know, I haven't done in our websites yet.
Oh, it's my own personal website's built on GitHub pages.
Yeah,
so it's all Jekyll.
I love Jekyll.
Yeah,
it's the best. I really like it. And I was doing because I was doing this yesterday actually. I have a personal project about Seinfeld. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I think I've heard of
Seinfeld.
Yeah. It ran for a year or two, didn't it?
It was a few years, yeah. Dave's a comedy buff. So I have this website. It's Seinfeld related. It's called Movimento Seinfeld, which should be translated to Seinfeld Movement. It's like me and some friends, we write about every episode of Seinfeld. We're not doing that anymore, but it started on, I think, 2007 or 8. Mm-hmm. And then we did until season 6, I think, and then just got tired of doing it. But it's still online, and it runs on Jekyll. It's hosted on GitHub, and it's really good because they basically just send me a text file and I make markdown, very basic stuff and just commit to GitHub and it's live. I really like it.
Well, that's this podcast. The RSS feed is built by just editing 4 lines of YAML. So I upload the MP3 after I do a quick bit of processing. Like it actually takes less time to post it than it does to record it. So I process, upload it to AWS S3, and then add that to the YAML file, commit it, push it, and it's done. And then I have a transcriptionist who just takes the audio and transcribes it.
Okay.
And sends it to somebody else who just sends it, and then it's a PR, and then it's done. So I upload it and it's basically done other than me clicking the green button on GitHub to merge the PR.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just nice being able to edit the files directly. Yeah. And seeing what that's why I like it. Yeah.
Back before the bullet journal. which the last episode I put out was about the quick take on the bullet journal. Felipe and I are both bullet journal fans. Before that, I used to try to take notes at meetups I use Vim for my editor. So I was taking my notes. Yeah, I'm the king of the nerds. Or at least the king of the Medit nerds. So I used to try to take notes in that and just go ahead and directly edit it and then could just push it when I got home. But now that I use the bullet journal, I can actually pay a little more attention than trying to take detailed notes. And so.
Yeah.
I hear Hugo is even better than Jekyll at speed wise and some of the other things that it does pretty well, but obviously it doesn't work with GitHub pages.
Hugo.
It's just another static site generator.
Oh, okay. I've used another one called Kirby.
I've heard of that one. I haven't used it.
It's really, really good. And I use that for clients, for a few clients actually. Because I used to work a lot with artists and photographers. So they needed an easy way to update their websites. And I tried using WordPress for that, but it wasn't the best option for them because it was basically throwing a bunch of JPEGs, and that's all they needed.
Yeah.
So WordPress, it always felt a bit like hacky, like you had to like to make this as a post, is this a gallery, is this like so. And then I discovered Kirby, which I think it works pretty much the same. This you just throw a bunch of files and it runs, and you just so how I use Kirby with clients is like I build the website and it has like a few pages, like about page or contact page. And Kirby has like a very basic admin. So, they can either go to admin on the like browser, enter password, and they can like update their contact details or like a text on the about page. But what I find very nice, and they like, because that's what they're used to, is that they can update the website using FTP. So
you shouldn't use FTP for anything. SFTP, maybe.
Yeah. But like at least my clients, because it's something that they are familiar with, because they use when they're sending the photos for printing. So they FTP into the company thing, and so they know how to use it, which is basically like drag and drop, right? It's not. But that's how they do it.
What was I used to use the program all the time. I've forgotten the name of it. FileZilla. That's
Or
what was the other one?
CyberDuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Robert. Yeah. That's one. That's one.
That seems to be the one designers use and FileZilla.
Yeah, because I think CyberDuck is it's the one on Mac that's free. And that's...
You can get FileZilla for free on a Mac too, but I think more people
the interface it's a bit more like, it feels a bit more...
Windows.
Yeah. FileZilla is easier. CyberDuck is easier.
Yeah. For sure.
And so anyway, like, they basically just throw files there and it appears very nice on the website, like thumbnails and all that stuff. Really good. Static websites, I really like them.
Between that and, the new serverless, so like AWS Lambdas and Azure Functions, between the two of those things, you can do an awful lot without having to maintain infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's still a few bits that are harder for me to quite grasp how to handle security wise. So like if you have a user actually logging in, that makes sense. So state is maintained that way. But, with typical servers, you can render things in the background. So like if you've got some PHP key that does some remote call, that's easy because that never gets exposed to the user. So how you can do that, I think that's the one step that's missing from making serverless take over the world with static pages. I mean, so you could use GitHub Pages, or you could just use S3 or any type of block storage type service. So, process it with Kirby, Hugo, Jekyll, whatever, and then store those static files in the bucket using the serverless. But I don't know. I'm really intrigued by where that might go. But I think there's one thing missing, like how do you connect to the database with security if every user doesn't have a password to prevent someone from basically doing almost an SQL injection against it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have no answers on that one, but I think that there's just one piece of that puzzle that's going to change a lot of the way smaller scale infrastructure works. Like I think a lot of startups could basically start with small serverless.
Oh, definitely.
And GitHub Pages. I mean, really, it's so close, but it's not quite there. There's just, I don't know. Anybody out there have any ideas?
I don't know either.
Anything else?
No.
No?
No.
No. All right. Well, we can always do this again.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm up for it.
It was a great pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure.
Pleasure having you on the team. And so how can people contact you if they so wish?
Sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say, I know you're a little bit off social media now.
I'm off Facebook only.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I'm not on Facebook since last year, but I'm on Twitter a lot and on Instagram. I'm still on Instagram. I know it's Facebook, but yeah.
Have you seen the news where Facebook are trying to merge all of their platforms?
I did see that, yeah. I don't know. Like, I wish I could not use WhatsApp, but everyone's in there. So
I like Signal, sort of. I like the idea of Signal better than some of the application of it.
Okay.
Like the app itself is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the app. But I think where it's tied to your phone.
Oh, yeah.
That can be a problem.
I saw a friend, she was asking like for recommendations on different messaging apps and I don't know much about Signal, but I remember seeing she was saying that like if you get a new phone, you kind of lose everything.
Yeah. So it's directly tied to your phone number.
Okay.
So it's based on the Whisper protocol, which is what WhatsApp was anyway. Hard to say what it is now, but it's the open source version of it. So there's no centralized company that controls Signal. It's open source, FOSS, free open source software. It works well, but yeah, if you change your phone, you lose all your contacts.
Yeah.
Which isn't great. So I don't know what the solution is, because the reason is all connections are peer to peer. At least mine. I haven't read through all the code, so I can't, say with great certainty how the internals work. But basically, it seems like it makes that initial connection based on phone, and somehow, I don't know, maybe there is some sort of centralized traffic manager for those initial connections. So, like a central registry of phone numbers. But if there were authentication, then maybe that authentication could be a point of failure where someone could man in the middle of that. And then, you think you're talking, we think we're talking to each other, but we're both talking to the NSA and, and the NSA is sending us the messages or relaying the messages onto us.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I know that there are other options and like security wise, all this, I just don't want to be part of Mark Zuckerberg, like daily active users and monthly active users in any way. So that's what I'm mostly like thinking about all this stuff now. Yeah.
So what is your Twitter and Instagram? I'll add them in the show notes, but just go ahead.
It's at Seu Felipe, SEUFELIPE. Both Instagram and Twitter. They're the ones I use the most. I also use Letterboxd a lot. Do you know Letterboxd?
No.
It's a social network for movies, and I love it. Like you can. I used to like logging movies I watch, but also like getting recommendations and just reading reviews. There's a lot of good people writing there, like really good reviews and all that. It's really cool. Letterboxd, I use that a lot. I think Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd are the ones I use the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
And if anybody out there has anything to say about this episode, or you have anything you'd like to hear in addition from Felipe or from myself, you can always reach out podcast@dave-albert.com and on Twitter @Dave_Albert. Thanks for listening. Until next time, remember, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.